right, boys and girls, we are on the 13th worm. Does anybody remember who found the 13th worm? They were looking around with flashlights. Who could it have been? If you remembered, it's Pete was the one that found the other worm. Alrighty, under the streetlight in front of Alan's house, Tom and Pete knelt over the siren. Billy stood beside them, the nightcrawler squirming in his fingers. Now wait till lots of lights come on all over, in all the houses, said Tom. Then chomp it down. Ready, Pete? Now! The siren growled, winding slowly up and up until it screeched across the sleeping neighborhood, sending birds squawking and chirping into the air from trees and rooftops, and dogs began to bark. Windows lit up. There were confused shouts, bangs of windows slamming up. "Ladies and gentlemen," shouted Tom through the dying whine of the siren, "Alan Phelps and Joseph O'Hara, through their finkiness and cheating, their lies and dirty—" "Come on," muttered Billy, his head thrown back, dangling the worm over his mouth. "We haven't got much time." "Alan Phelps and Joseph O'Hara," shouted Tom, "have forced us to wake you all up so that you may now witness rat-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, the eating of the 13th worm." He dropped to his knees. The siren wound slowly to a screech. Billy dropped the crawler into his mouth and chewed furiously with his eyes closed. He fell to his knees, still chewing, his face turning beet red, toppled over on his side, still chewing, rolled and writhed about the sidewalk, clutching his stomach, still chewing. Tom and Pete kneeling by the streetlight, working the screaming siren. How do you think those neighbors are feeling about that siren? Billy threw open his arms and lay still on his back under the glare of the streetlight, his mouth wide open. "Ta-ra!" announced Tom, springing up and pointing to Billy. The three boys ran off into the darkness. As they went, Tom yelled, "Remember, Alan Phelps and Joseph O'Hara." Wonder how Joseph O'Hara and Alan Phelps are feeling at this point. And I wonder, how do you think the neighbors would be feeling? If you were woken up like that in your neighborhood, how would you feel? What do you think your parents would do? All right, we're on the 27. Here we go. No, 28, sorry. A confused murmur arose up and down the street. Suddenly, a boy shouted from the Phelps house, "Thanks!" Alan's father dragged him back from the window. "Is that why you were stuffing Billy with candy and junk all day? Leave me alone." Oops. "Leave me alone. Yeah, they were trying to trick him, the finks." "Finks," he yelled at the top of his voice, lunging towards the window. "Quiet!" His father sat him down hard in a chair. Joe peered furtively out through the fringe of the bedspread. As soon as he had heard the siren and Tom's yells, he had crawled under the bed. "And that's why Billy woke up the whole neighborhood up, to show you he hadn't been tricked?" "Yes." His father let go of Alan's pajama collar. In the doorway, Alan's mother threw up her hands and went off to the bathroom to take 2 aspirin. The next day, Alan and Joe tramped from house to house in the neighborhood, knocking on each door and then reciting in chorus. "Hello, we're Alan Phelps and Joseph O'Hara. We're the reason that you were waked up in the middle of the last night, and we're sorry." Breathe. "You'll be happy to know our parents have punished us, and we can't look at television or have any dessert for a month, and our allowances have been taken away for 2 weeks. We promise that it will never happen again." "At least not in this neighborhood," muttered Joe as the last door closed behind them. "So, what do you think if you were the reason everybody got woken up in your neighborhood, what do you think your punishment would be?" I think my parents would have probably made me go apologize to all the people too. And Alan said his father at dinner that night. "I don't want to hear that there's been any repetition of this incident at Billy's or Tom's house or anywhere else. Do you understand?" "But we can't let them get away with it, Mr. Phelps," called Joe from the living room, where he was waiting for Alan to finish dinner. "There will be no repetition of this incident or anything like it," repeated Mr. Phelps. "You tried to trick Billy and lost. That will be the end of the matter."